Hello and welcome to the Aaron Roussos podcast. Thanks for joining me today. Wherever you may be around this beautiful planet, today's episode, I just wanted to make a short one. I know I say that all the time and then I go for an hour. Look, I've been... had my own sort of experience and stages that I went through in my life, and obviously when you think that you've been given a gift, or you've been given this information that no one else can see, or you find a truth and then you come out and you try and tell everyone you can, and then you get called a conspiracy theorist. I've had my fair share of that back in the day, even my own friends and family, and you end up separating yourself, and you go to parties and you tell everyone your truth and then you never hear from them again. And this is a fallacy, and then you say to yourself, you lie to yourself and you say, oh, well, I was given this gift, I was given this information, and if they don't want it, then too bad for them, they're fucking asleep. And that's not the way it goes at all. People like Jesus that came here, they like to mix with people not of like mind. They were very balanced in their approach. They didn't tell everyone their truth. They were an example themselves of what we can do. And then when people then asked, oh, what are you doing, how are you doing this, then you tell them. Completely different energy, completely different. What these people that you call conspiracy theorists are, they're not light workers, they're light spinners. They feel the need to go out and tell everyone their truth. And I know it sounds rich coming from someone who's done 100 podcasts in the last year and is telling you all this new stuff. At least I'm not telling people. I'm leaving it there for anyone on their journey, whether they're coming across synchronicity, whether they need healing, whether they need anything. It's there to be picked up at any one stage, and you can quite easily turn off. You can't turn off when I'm sitting in front of you trying to explain something to you. So this one is, look, we all know, well, we don't. I was going to say we all know about controlled opposition, the way the world works. Everyone's, the people that have a huge amount of money and control over you, heavily invested in Coke and heavily invested in Pepsi. They don't care what you drink, they win either way. And it's the same with everything in your known world, but you don't realize it. So you think there's all this division and everyone's fighting, and that's designed like that to create you to pick sides, to divide, because the secrets to the universe is when you bring everything together, when you get that oneness, when you bring everyone and everything together. Medicine in itself was 100 years ago was a patchwork of beautiful, what was the best, in that lower consciousness, that's all they knew. But they said there was natural medicine, and then nutrition was important. All these things were all together, and then the people that actually wanted to make money out of medicine and drive it and create a whole new industry then separated them all. So nutrition's over here, doctors don't do that. Natural's over here, doctors don't do that. And we just sell the synthetic version here. And then a whole lot of things are built around that, and propaganda and blah blah blah. Anyway, I'm trying to do a quick podcast. So the reason why I'm sort of giving you that little bit of backstory is that I ran into a guy, and I don't mean to embarrass him or call him out or anything. Really lovely guy, genuine guy, like any person would go, fuck. This guy got a lot to offer. He doesn't want to hurt anyone. He just wants to help people. He's actually such a really genuine person, and that's why I'm, doing this podcast. And I met him at an ATM machine, and the bank was closed on a day where Monday to Friday, the bank's always open on this day. All the other banks are open. It's just so. I said to, he's like, oh my God, I've been waiting for this day for fucking 10 years. And I'm like, what? And he goes, have you got a minute? And I said, yeah, buddy, because I'm open to everything, right? I'm open to everything, and I'll just take whatever I want in. Don't have to believe him. I don't have to do everything he says. So, but it was so convincing as well. Like people when they're, articulate and spot on with stuff, you're like, wow, you're convincing, bro. You actually believe this. So he said to me, this is all planned. The bank is closed because they're changing over to a digital currency. Trump is driving this. Trump has been seen to be, strategically doing this stuff to change the world and go to a digital currency, and he had a plan. He said, go and buy dong, go and buy Vietnamese money. You can buy 1 million dong for $74. And he goes, go now, go to this place, buy it. They'll have it ready. And when the digital currency comes in and it plateaus out and this happens, what happens is every dollar will be dollar for dollar, and you'll end up being a millionaire. And he's like, oh, I've been waiting for this moment, and behind the scenes, and I've heard other stuff from other people and conspiracy people, and these are very intelligent people. The one common denominator is they're all very gullible and they're all very nice people, like they've got big hearts, right? And the other people, there was all these other things called Nisara, Jasara. It's all this equalization of the whole world and everyone getting millions of dollars and all this sort of stuff, and medbed technology. And there's some groups with hundreds of thousands of members secretly formed their own group online that have been told that these med beds that are being rolled out by the government, they're doing training courses in them and everything. And then I guess I was sitting back myself as probably one of the highest beings as far as consciousness and core truths on the earth. Like, I've got a proven track record, right? I can do what no one else can. And so I'm not talking about someone just having an opinion or whatever. I'm going, okay, well, from where I sit, I understand the system we're part of, where we go, how we evolve, how it all works. I've tested that, and and so I'm like, where does the med bed fit into it? And they're like, oh, because you all these people going, I'm waiting for it because my auntie's sick and she's got this disease, and you just put her in it, and then it is a frequency thing, and it just restores her back to a normal state. And I started getting on some sites and questioning people, going, you sure it's not a metaphor? So it's not metaphoric like in the Bible? We didn't maybe create the play, the universe in 7 days, or the earth. And they're like, no, this guy whose fucking family were in the CIA, who's doing this. And so I looked into it, and there's hundreds of thousands of people that are waiting for this technology. There's hundreds of thousands of people that are part of these groups and donating money to them. And I'm like, wow, this is pretty fucking bad. This is pretty bad. And they call themselves a humanitarian organisation. And they ask for humanitarian ideas. And so I thought, I'll play the game. I've got the cure to greatest diseases, I've got the greatest healing modality, and nothing. So a year later, I'm still a member, and I go back in, and I started reaching out to them, trying to, get to this top guy. And they're like, oh, look, he sort of can't, promise that he'll get to it or read it or anything like that. He's a very busy man. I said, look, this is the greatest discovery in human history thus far that would wipe the floor with anything that's ever been known, discovered, whatever. And you're telling me he's too busy, and you're you can't identify and see that. If I was the head of this organisation, I said this to these people, if I was the head of this organisation, I would want you to fast track this information straight to the fucking top. This is, you've got to have an avenue for fucking miracles in life. Every company, you've got to have an avenue to get to the top. If something really, really important that fucking rocks the foundation of this very, very fucking organisation needs to get through. And they couldn't see it. And so I started going, but they're promoting medbeds and medbed classes, and they're asking for money, and they're raising a lot of money with hundreds of thousands of members. And I was like, this is messy. There's all these gatekeepers. There's all this control within a humanitarian organisation, and I'm like, And they say that they reveal updates and secrets and, this is happening and that's happening, and nothing like the cure for cancer. Nothing eventuates, right? Biden's in, they're going to take over, and this, and Trump's going to do this and that, and nothing happens. Then the next thing update, no, this is going to happen and that's going to happen, and nothing happens again. And I'm like, this is just like life. It's just fooling all the masses to go along with this continual failure and then make excuses for the failure. And I'm like, surely. But then I'm like, no one's done what I've done. No one knows as much as I know. And no one can apply filters to see how much crap it actually is. So in the end, it's a lot of testing for me, a lot of going back and forth and testing. So I actually said to them, look, just get me out of here. Get me away from all of your absolute crud. When this comes to light, it's another whole awakening for hundreds of thousands of people that were on there. And some people really, like some of the members, I was very censored in what I could say, what I could post. They say, we've taken that down because, And I'm like, it's all natural. It's all naturally aligned. It's all core truth. Nothing harmful. Why would you take it down? Because it doesn't fit your narrative. And so when the truth needs to be censored, there's a few problems going on. And this is... and the thing that's sad is there's hundreds of thousands, and they're lovely people. I did some numerology readings for some of them. Some of the other people went wow and visited my website and stuff. So there's always, a certain level that just get it, right? It makes sense. It can be all tested. It's all transparent, nothing high. It's nothing like anything else you've ever seen. So it's not a piece of the puzzle. Everyone's expecting a piece of the puzzle. Everyone's expecting a pill. Everyone's expecting, that's, cultural things. So this guy that was, spent an hour outside the bank telling me that this moment has been planned. Trump's out there giving us cryptic messages and things, and behind the scenes, we need to do this and we need to buy that. We need to have this in place. And he goes, there's a crypto machine inside as well. When it goes to a digital currency, they're going to choose one crypto that's going to be that digital currency, and it's going to skyrocket in value, and that's XRP. Go and get every week when you get paid or whatever you can do, just keep buying XRP. And so this guy's part of now this movement of these people, and these are old people as well. I thought old people, are not that malleable, pliable, corruptible, because they're so set in their ways. But I guess if you're sold hope and you've had a pretty average life, and this is your one chance to, you've never ever had another chance or never had any other opportunities to get out of your situation. Because I went away from that conversation thinking, I need to do my research, because if this guy's right, this is my chance. So, and in the past, I had another group of friends who were the same, and they just kept all their language like, oh yeah, we don't have to worry about that. We can do whatever we want, because when this comes in, so there's a whole other controlled opposition, I guess, that have sold to those that hope to a whole other brainwashed community that think they're on the good side, but they're actually on the bad side. Does that make sense? All of these people, those friends I had that were like, oh, don't worry about it when we get our money. I'm like, what money? When Jasara comes out and we all get, millions of dollars put in, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy a farm. I'm like, where, what are we talking, and they're like, no, and I'm like, okay, so you can't even argue with them or have a balanced conversation around it. So now you've got, if we're talking about the Earth being in the light-dark quotient, and a little bit like Star Wars, the goodies and the baddies. Well, the baddies have created a controlled opposition, and so what you think is the goodies is actually the baddies, and they've once, like, they can market to you, like they can make you buy shit you don't need. They've marketed to you hope and possibility, and pulled on every heartstring, every emotion that you have, whether it be through illness, whether it be through the med beds of, I will heal your sick relatives that have no hope, or whether it be, we will market to you hope to have millions of dollars. It's all very, very unreasonable. And even if there was a merge and the economic systems of the world collapsed, it would still take 20 years to get to a point where it would equalize or come out. There's no reality. It's basically unbalanced consciousness delivered to people that want something. It's really sad. And look, back in the day, I was a bit of a light spinner myself. I'd find out, this is before I was even, before I even healed myself of an incurable disease. I would, find out stuff, and I'd be like, oh, what, you don't know that? What, you don't know that? Oh, no. And as I grew in consciousness, and I've spoken about this many times, and also on podcasting in my books, as I grew in consciousness, I grew out of light spinning, and I became a light worker. Because a light worker does not need to go and force their truth down anyone's throat, or, a light spinner can't help it. They get to someone, they start talking, they go, oh, do you know about this? They're all about the drama, right? Now, everything in life is about alignment. It's not about the drama. Drama is karma, and it's not needed anymore, okay? It does not lead to a more balanced society. It doesn't lead to a more balanced planet. It creates more drama. And that energy is also not very, it doesn't matter whether you're, whether you've got truth. If you try and ram it down someone's throat, that energy is repelled. They don't like it. And you can tell if you're a light worker or a light spinner, because how many, do you gather people and friends, or do you go somewhere, spill the beans, tell them your truth, and never see them again? And That's the difference. You'll find that, you know, a light worker is more about the being and about just being and experiencing, and they invest everything within themselves to be better. And then when other people see that, they ask, and then you can tell them, well, actually, I went on this bit of a journey, and this is where I'm at. So these, and we're talking about millions of people all around the world that are invested in this conspiracy theory, whatever you want to call it. Imagine waiting for something that's never going to happen, and then you die. It's not a very nice feeling, a certain thing, but in lower states of consciousness, when you're not aware of what's going on, but it provides such magic and hope. Like, I only know about the med beds because I understand consciousness. Okay, we're on a planet, we graduate, we go through stages. There is no need for a med bed, and everything that we do here is in co-creation. There is never going to be something just given to us to heal all the things that we've created for ourselves. All the disease, all the things that we've done. Like, no one has been just given a disease by sheer chance or accident or whatever. It's been formed in that person over a particular time, usually, you know, because that person doesn't know what they're doing. And so they're saying that the army are the ones that are going to roll out this, and they're doing training in it and all the rest of it. And so what I'm saying is, the way that we evolve, we don't need a med bed. We are the med bed. Consciousness does everything that med bed does. When we just start working out that we need to graduate, that we need to mastery, we need to head towards mastery, and all of that disease, there's a way is shown. It's not, there has never ever been anything that has just been, like, we have been given tools along the way and God-given things to help us in bits and pieces, but it's never been something that hasn't been timely, hasn't been part of a co-creation. Okay, we're animals, and we have a spark of the creator, of that energy within us that gives us intuition, that makes us connected to the mainframe. And there is never anything, when you filter, and you know what I know, there is never anything that, you know, you don't just pray and sit and wait for something. It's praying into a void. Nothing will ever happen. You need to pray or manifest or ask the universe for something, and then you need to go out and move energy around and let those things find you, either through synchronicity or, you know, intuitive downloads, or, you know what I mean? It's an energetic thing. And everything that these med beds claim that they do, you can do without them. You can already do it. You can do it now. It's in a time capsule, you know, in your DNA, ready to be activated. But we just want the easy way out. That's a cultural thing, right? We don't want to do Aaron's 14-day protocol that heals incurable diseases and makes us give up all the things we're addicted to and restores a system. We want to go to someone else, tell them to give us a pill or to do this, and that's the way we've been used to getting our healing for thousands of years. We expect, you know, it's all part of the game that we call life, and there is never ever going to be one of these things. So why is there possibly millions of people all around the world sitting back and waiting and expecting it. It's because you're part of the controlled opposition and you're hanging out with the baddies. And that's pretty sad, right? It's going to create more confusion. What do they want? They want you distracted. They want you confused, and they want you in survival mode. Because when you're not in survival mode like me, you work it all out. When you work it all out, you are not dependent on anyone that is evil. You are free, right? You're in control of your health. No one else can say, I'm in control of my health. I can't get an incurable disease. I can. And if by any chance I do, I know how to fix it. No one else on the whole planet of 8 billion people can say that, and I give that away free. But you, who have been supremely brainwashed, sitting with the baddies, waiting for a machine to do it for you that will never come. Your biology is hacked because you're nice people, because you have a heart. So the same people are there giving you one thing on the news every week to give you a bit of hope about a cancer cure, about a vaccine, about something that for 50 years has never come, despite trillions of dollars, despite 1 million of the greatest minds ever put on this planet. And I found all the causes and a cure to all cancers in 2 weeks. If that doesn't unsettle you, then you're pretty much in what they call the low range, new soul, unevolved, low consciousness, not a rugby player as such, but in that mentality of, let's just run at each other and bash heads together. It's a low state, right? We're on a planet where we graduate, we grow up. This is in a very low state. If you're rejecting the very easiest, simplest, most flow state, most beautiful things, and can't see with common sense what's being done to you, you're still in those lower states. And it's not your fault. I was there not long ago, even 7 years ago. And look, as a child, I grew up in a very, very low consciousness, very fear-based growing up. There was lots of things that were impressed upon me. There was language around the family that kept me in a fear state of doom and gloom for most of my childhood. And so eventually, I grew up, I had to, whatever. So that's what's out there. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention, because all of these people that I've met, the guy at the bank, when the bank was closed, oh, by the way, I rang other banks and it was just someone was sick and they didn't have any staff, so they closed the bank. And there's another bank right across the road was open and stuff. So one thing like that triggered this guy thinking this is it. And I don't know why it was brought to my attention, but the one thing that I noticed with this guy, with friends I've had before, people I've met, they're all lovely people. And I guess, when you meet people that have been in relationships with narcissists, they're all lovely people. You can't do these things to assholes. You can't do these things to people that don't really care about humans or don't want to be better, or it seems like they're not vulnerable as such, but they're just lovely, big-hearted people. These people, that's why they've been able to suck into that void, and it's a type of person that with numerology, it's all about characteristics, right? We have this set of positive and negative characteristics, and there's obviously a certain, percentage or a group of SAT that are very susceptible to this. And like, I don't know, like I've seen it and I'm observing and I'm explaining it to you, and I don't know the way. It's not a simple conversation to get them out of it. Like, they're so into it. They don't have long-term relationships with people that can erode on that and slowly but surely give them the truth. Like that guy, for instance. Now, if I turned around and said, hey, look, brother, this is what I know. It would take me ages to go through the process, and he still might, I'm not, I shouldn't speculate, but he still might opt for hope. He still might go, Aaron, look, I see what you're saying. Thank you for telling me that, but I'm still going to wait for this hope, okay? Because you're not selling me any hope. You're saying that I have to do all the work myself. You're saying that I have to change. I have to do this. I have to do that. And they're saying that I just have to sit here and wait. So it's a little bit like healing. We're not going to get into our uncomfortable zone. We're not going to realize that the uncomfortable zone is where we have to be. There's not... The reason why I got into my uncomfortable zone was because I didn't want to be on this planet anymore. I didn't want to wake up with chronic anxiety where I spend the whole day trying to get through the next 5 minutes, the next hour, the next few hours. Then I go, oh shit, it's getting towards night time, I've got to come down. So then I try and take alcohol and drugs and Valium and things to try and come down. And my chemical system is in haywire, it's in dysfunction, it's firing, missing, throwing shit all over the place. And then I finally get to a comatose state with all this drugs and alcohol and stuff. And I fall asleep, and then I wake up 2 hours later and I can't go back to sleep. So that was no life. And then when that goes on day in after day out, and you've got all these symptoms, you've got, your eardrum, clammy hands, pains across your chest, and they can't get rid of it. When you've got the most scariest chest pains, like you can't, like you're dying, right? It's just this most terrible, heinous feeling, and you've been to, emergency 12 times that month, and you can't get rid of this chest pain, and it doesn't matter what you do, you can't get rid of it. And the most beneficial thing that you can do that might give you a slight bit of relief from it is to drink copious amounts of alcohol and try and drown it out. And not that it works every time, but and there's nothing else that you can do, and it's the worst. Like, you just want to die, and then days turn into weeks, turn into months, and the next thing you realize, this has been going on for 8 years. And so through that process, I mean, fucking enough is enough. I can't do this anymore. I got so fucking angry that something sparked and something changed within me. So therefore, being like that, right, which is fucking totally, no one would be able to deal with it. You just want to check out. So being like that, then when I was researching and I came up with stuff, and I went, well, you know what? To actually give up everything that I was addicted to was terrifying. But I was so sick that I would try terrifying over being sick, or tried terrifying, not knowing whether it was going to deliver any success. And it worked. And so that gave me another insight to the way we work, how we work, and how it all sort of goes on. And then when you know that 300 million people have the same thing as you and are going through that same thing, I was so happy. I thought, oh, this is amazing. Yeah, imagine doing that. Imagine having no quality of life whatsoever and fucking being excruciating, wanting to actually die every minute for 8 years. And then you fix it. And then you find out there's 300 million people that have got the same thing, and you can help them. And you could not get the smile off my face. I was in love with life because I knew that I could help these people, because I knew what they were going through. It was more about them than it was me. I had no... I never ever thought, create a program, sell it, make money out of it. It was just give it away, get it out there. And then one by one, over hundreds and hundreds of correspondences and phone calls and emails and organizations and governments and media and religion and everyone, it just got worse and worse and worse till it was actually more of a problem or more of a curse to have found out than to try and get someone to help you, right? Because I was trying to get organizations that they raise billions of dollars to help you, or to find a cure or find a treatment for this, and they didn't want to know. And that's where we're at. You guys have got no one that's really... Everyone's just taking a piece of you. No one wants to help you. I've found that, right? All the biggest organisations in the world, namely in America and Washington, and they go, yeah, the professor would go, send me your shit, man. Send me your white paper. And I go, well, I'm not a doctor, bro. But boom, nothing, ghosted. I'm like, what's going on? So I ring up. Yeah, well, we like to work with reality here. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And, they're trying to make me and discredit me for trying to help sick people, that they are taking all of your money and taxes, saying that they are doing it. So the whole thing is a sham. But as I just explained how sick I was, for me to be able to get to a state of breaking free from that, even in such a small way, or the addictions and all that sort of stuff. So you can understand now how it's an impossibility of me trying to help you now, because you're not all in that bad state. You're not all in that sick state. Your world's pretty, you're in your own little comfort zone, and really, who's going to go, yeah, you know what? I'm going to step outside my comfort zone, and I'm going to go with this guy that everyone's fucking making fun of, that's got this truth, because I fucking believe that people really need to get this. No, because you have to fight. You have to have courage. You're all soulless, desensitized. You want to look away from it because you have to have courage, and no one has courage. If someone's child had it, they get courage all of a sudden. Family's a great driver, but once again, if your kid's not sick, what's the point? Lots of people go, thanks, Aaron, thanks, I'll keep that in case one day, No one's turned around and gone, you know what, mate? We need to get this out there. We've got a concentration span of a fish, we're very dopamine hit, fucking social media, swiping and all the rest of it. So no one really wants to look at the whole thing, prove it for themselves, or go over a huge amount of work to see what I've actually done. So that courage is never comes into the equation. And so, like everything else, I'm telling you, you're killing yourself and not even knowing it, or the things that could save your life, you're just walking straight past them. And in the same respect, no one's going to jump out of their comfort zone and come and get on Team Aaron and say, let's save 1 billion people. Let's change the world. Everything changes for the better. Everyone within this, when it happens, gets a better life, a healthier life, more in control, less dependent, more money. The reason why we have a world, cost of living crisis is to keep us in those suspended states where we don't go looking for these answers. So yeah, look, I'm up against it, but I think you're worth it. I think each and every one of you is worth it, and not, and I might make some names, and I might call you dumb and asleep and desensitized, and you don't want to see pain. Like, I call you a lot of names, but I always do throw in a disclaimer that those names I was 7 years ago. And part of the big change for me was when I said, I'm the problem. Shit, I am the problem. When you turn around and come at it from that angle, you're all too proud to say it. You don't want to say it in front of your family, and culture-wise, we've been, but when I go, I'm the fucking problem, I've got to get out the way. I'm the fucking problem. And when each and every one of you sort of say that, the world changes. Because you've all been biohacked and tricked into, lifestyle and marketing diseases, and you're doing things unwillingly, and you are the problem. It's a fact. And to then complain about all of these things on a daily basis, but as a collective, you are responsible for it. So everything that you complain about, you contribute to, and you don't even know it. That's the game you're playing. And so it was important for me to get on and just explain about these poor little conspiracy theories, and Trump, who everyone thinks is a good guy, still does a lot of bad things, and they go, oh yeah, but he can't do it all, or he's got to be seen to be still dumb and playing the game, and he does it strategically and all the rest of it. And it's like, okay, there's a couple of things that I'll say to that, and that is that there is many people around him. There is things that I have shared with that team, and they might engage a conversation with me up until a certain point, and then go, fuck, he's got something, let's fuck him off. Same with Senator Kennedy. Everyone's like, at the moment, he's doing some amazing things, don't get me wrong, but they should have been done a long time ago, and there's still other things that he's let slide. So it's all a transactional thing. He's still playing a game, going, all right, well, give me that, and you can still keep killing people over here, that's fine. And there's clear, it's all there. He also, and his team have all the information. Why would someone from the CIA purchase all of my books and be all over my website? And there's lots of things going on that you have no idea, and because of the overwhelm and because of the thing, you tend to just opt out if it gets a little bit too messy. Or fear's a big one. You know, I've said many a time about what you all say about fear, and when I tell you what I've got, and that's not really a world that I'm proud to be part of. I don't want to be in a world where people go, you know, we know you're right, we know they're wrong, but that's the world we have to deal with. That's pretty fucked. Saying that you live in a world where all this shit is done to you, and that's just the way it is. And so that's where we're at. So, you know, next time, you know, look, I want to offer some solutions as well. Say you're, you know, getting into these conspiracy theories and all the rest of it, like whether it's overwhelming, turn everything off. Turn all your, and that's the thing, you're addicted to social media, right? They get you on fear loops. The original guy that created those algorithms to keep you engaged in Facebook went to jail. A lot of this gets suppressed and censored and all the rest of it, right? So you poor things, you don't know what the fuck's been done to you, but it's all being done to you. Everything is being done to you. If you are addicted to anything, whether it be phones, food, high processed foods, sugars, drugs, alcohol, anything that you can't live without for a few days, then you're addicted, and you avoided your free choice. We live on the only planet in the galaxy of free choice, where you get to make choices. They go to different places, and then you have different outcomes. So you can, you know, rise to great heights, or you can fucking make all the decisions that take you to a shit place. And when you're being marketed to like that, and when you're being manipulated, you're going to these pretty average places, and that's where you're at. So unless you can turn them off, you know, and as I'm saying that, I look out and there's half a dozen people I see, and every single one of them's on their phone. So unless you can turn it off, you just deal with your average lot, and don't worry, I'll still be here. I'll still be out here. I'll still be out here with more courage than any person has ever had on this planet, fighting for you without you knowing how profound and how this will change the future for your future generations and kids and the planet and everything. And even though you ridicule me and laugh at me or overlook me or look away, and I'll still do that, right? I'll go through things that you will never go through to provide you with things that you could never get. I will be here uncorruptible, no matter how, you know, how much of that stuff that I have to go through that you couldn't handle it for a day, let alone 7 years that I've handled it for. But I'll stay here. I'm not going. I've been on and off. I've given up a few times, as I've mentioned before. But I realise now that look, it's more important than any of the brainwash stuff that you're going through. And there's a saying that Neil Donald Walsh, he wrote a book called Conversations with God, and anyway, I was listening to a video once of him, and he explained how understanding replaces forgiveness in the eyes of the master. And that's the way I feel about you. I know you don't know what you're doing. I know you're at a really infancy stage of development as far as a human being going, and you're very easily tricked, and your actions, if you knew who I was and you took the time, which you can't because of your biology, to go through and see what I have and how it all helps you and heals you and is trying to help you, then I understand that you would be 100% behind me, in my corner, absolutely cheering me on every day. Instead, I have half a dozen people that do that have taken the time. So I know that when the people do take the time, that they do wholly 100% get behind what I'm doing. Some people that just truly love me don't care and just support me anyway. That's unconditional love. That's what family do. Look, I don't understand what you're doing, but you're really passionate about it, and I'll try, but I'm just gonna get behind you and support you in any way I can. And there's a few of those around, not many, but there's two of those. So understanding replaces forgiveness in the eyes of the master. So I don't need to forgive you for being what you're doing, not only to me but to yourselves. You're mainly doing it to yourselves, which is an understanding thing, which is terrible. And so so that's why I keep doing it. It would be very easy for me just to give up and go back to a normal brain dead sort of life, but it wouldn't be very responsible of me. And I think at the end of the day, I've got a soft spot for humanity, knowing what I know, and I know that one day you'll all know this. That's the other thing that's quite amazing. And so it's not a matter of if, it's when. And there's never been a perfect time than now, with what's going on in the world and the amount of people that are waking up and trying to look for better for themselves. And it can be seen as a little bit of a new age movement or whatever, but it's all coming from within. There's no doctrine, there's no book, there's no group or organization on earth. Everyone's just sort of intuitively, internally waking up to look for something better. And I can't wait till you all see the benefits of this and get to live in a life where you're in control. And like, it's worlds apart, and I know I get frustrated sometimes and I talk negatively about it, but to be going through minutes of trying to survive to being completely content, relaxed, no drama, just balanced, and no ups and downs, being totally in control of life, it's a different experience. And the only negative part of my experience now is trying to share the information with you, or you putting me down or ridiculing me or making fun of me for doing so, which is a pretty shallow, pretty, if you're not, intelligent enough to understand it, or you haven't got the time, or you don't want to spend the time on it, or you want to use your free will and not having, that's cool. Don't fucking make fun of me. Don't make fun of anyone that you don't understand. The not knowing something or understanding something it gives you a form of fear. And when you fear something, you ridicule it. It's like, that's a bad trait that you've picked up and developed over the years. So once again, a short podcast has turned into something else, and let's start. If we haven't got 100% proof of something, let's not entertain it. Let's just put it to the side, whether it be a med bed, whether it be what Trump's doing. Let's just put it all aside and just work on ourselves. Let's try and make our own individual lives better, and then therefore our families' lives better, because that's what we're here for. That's the ultimate, right? Take away everything and we're still gonna be, our family is still gonna be the most precious thing in our world. And let's just concentrate on that. And if you start building that, then we make the world a better place. If you keep investing in external things that you have no proof of, that you don't know why you're investing in it, or you're being tricked and stuff like that, then we're just prolonging everything that I'm telling you you're moving towards. And look, it's a really beautiful thing when you wake up to this reality, and I'm really looking forward to you being able to get into that space so that you can then have these wonderful experiences that I'm able to have and see and share. So that's what it's all about. So once again, thank you for listening to the Aaron Roussos podcast. It's 2026. Let's expect benevolent change this year.